Number 50. The United States has 50 states. Technically, 4 states are officially commonwealths, not states: Kentucky, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Additionally, Puerto Rico is a Commonwealth territory, not a state, despite having more residents than 21 states. The 50 states narrative ignores the complex reality of American territories and Commonwealth designations. Number 49. The Mississippi River forms a clean border between states. The Mississippi constantly shifts its course, creating geographic anomalies where state borders don't match the current river. Kentucky Bend is completely surrounded by Missouri and Tennessee, with no land connection to Kentucky. State boundaries were drawn based on where the river flowed centuries ago, creating bizarre landlocked exclaves. Number 48. Alaska was a foolish purchase called Seward's Folly. History books portray Alaska's purchase as a mistake that later proved valuable. The truth is that Alaska was strategically brilliant from day one. Secretary of State William Seward knew exactly what he was doing. Alaska's position blocked Russian expansion and contained resources worth trillions. The folly narrative was political propaganda from Seward's opponents. Number 47. The Appalachian Mountains run north-south. Maps make the Appalachians look like a simple north-south range, but they actually run northeast-southwest. The mountains curve from Newfoundland to Alabama at an angle. This orientation affects weather patterns, with storms moving along the mountain axis rather than across it. Number 46. The Louisiana Purchase doubled America's size. Schools teach that the Louisiana Purchase doubled the nation's size, but this ignores that much of the purchased land was already claimed by Native American nations. The U.S. didn't actually control most of the territory for decades. The doubling only counts if you ignore everyone already living there. Number 45. The Oregon Trail went to Oregon. Most Oregon Trail travelers actually went to California, not Oregon. The trail split at multiple points, with the majority taking branches to California goldfields. Mormon pioneers used the trail to reach Utah, and many settlers stopped in Wyoming or Idaho. The Oregon Trail was actually a network of western routes. Number 44. The Great Plains are flat and boring. The Great Plains contain massive elevation changes, canyons, and badlands. The Black Hills rise over 7,000 feet in South Dakota. The Sand Hills of Nebraska cover 20,000 square miles of rolling dunes. Calling the plains flat ignores incredible geological diversity, including caves, cliffs, and river valleys. Number 43. The Mason-Dixon Line divided North and South. The Mason-Dixon Line only marked the Pennsylvania-Maryland border and part of the Delaware boundary. It never divided the entire nation into North and South. The line was surveyed in the 1760s to resolve a property dispute between colonial families. Delaware and Maryland were both south of the Mason-Dixon Line, but fought for the Union. Number 42. The Continental Divide runs along the Rocky Mountains. The Continental Divide twists across America in unexpected ways, not following the Rockies consistently. In Montana, the divide splits into 2 branches. In Wyoming, it loops and doubles back on itself. The divide crosses the Great Basin and doesn't always follow the highest peaks. Number 41. America's longest river is the Mississippi. The Missouri River is actually longer than the Mississippi at 2,341 miles versus 2,320 miles. Most textbooks incorrectly identify the Mississippi as longest, ignoring that the Missouri is the main stem. The confusion comes from the river's confluence, where naming conventions favor the Mississippi. Number 40. The Four Corners is where 4 states meet perfectly. The Four Corners Monument is actually in the wrong location, placed 1,800 feet east of the true intersection point. A surveying error in the 1800s created the mistake, but the monument's location is now legally recognized as the official boundary. Tourists aren't standing where the states actually meet, according to original surveys. Number 39. Florida is the southernmost state. Hawaii extends much farther south than Florida. Hawaii's southernmost point is at 18.9 degrees north latitude, while Florida's is at 24.5 degrees north. That's over 300 miles difference. Florida isn't even the southernmost point in the contiguous states if you count islands. Number 38. The Midwest is in the Middle West of America. The Midwest is actually in the northeastern quadrant of the country. Ohio is closer to the Atlantic Ocean than to the geographic center. The name made sense in the 1800s when the region was the western frontier, but America expanded far beyond it. Now the Midwest is geographically northeastern. Number 37. Mount McKinley was renamed Denali recently. Denali was always the mountain's name to Alaska natives for thousands of years. Ohio politicians renamed it McKinley in 1896 without Alaskan input. Alaska fought for 40 years to restore the original name. The 2015 name restoration wasn't a renaming, it was correcting a century of cultural erasure. Number 36. The Statue of Liberty is in New York. The Statue of Liberty legally sits in New Jersey waters, not New York. Liberty Island is surrounded by New Jersey's territorial waters, but New York owns the land. An 1834 compact gave New York the islands, but New Jersey the water rights. Number 35. The Great Lakes were formed by glaciers. While glaciers carved the lake basins deeper, the Great Lakes occupy ancient river valleys that existed before glaciation. The glaciers enlarged pre-existing depressions rather than creating them from scratch. The underlying bedrock structure determined where lakes formed. Number 34. Crater Lake was formed by a meteor. Crater Lake in Oregon formed from a volcanic collapse, not a meteor impact. Mount Mazama erupted 7,700 years ago and collapsed into its own empty magma chamber. No meteor was involved despite the name suggesting impact. It's a volcanic caldera, not an impact crater. Number 33. The Everglades is a swamp. The Everglades is actually a slow-moving river, not a swamp. Water flows from Lake Okeechobee south to Florida Bay at a barely perceptible rate. The river of grass is typically only inches deep, but moves constantly. Swamps have standing water. The Everglades has flowing water and sawgrass marshes. Number 32. The Rocky Mountains are the tallest in North America. Alaska's mountains are much taller than the Rockies. Denali reaches 20,310 feet, while the highest Rocky Mountain peak is 14,440 feet. 6 of North America's 10 tallest mountains are in Alaska, none in the Rockies. Number 31. The U.S. has 2 coasts, east and west. The U.S. actually has 5 coastlines: Atlantic, Pacific, Gulf of Mexico, Arctic, Alaska, and the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes coastline exceeds 4,500 miles. Alaska provides Arctic Ocean access. Teaching only east and west coasts erases significant coastal geography. Number 30. Yellowstone is in Wyoming. Yellowstone National Park extends into Montana and Idaho, covering parts of 3 states. About 96% is in Wyoming, but significant portions cross state lines. This creates legal complications about jurisdiction for crimes committed in the park's Montana or Idaho sections. Number 29. The Mojave Desert is all sand dunes. The Mojave is mostly rocky desert, not sand. Joshua trees, mountains, and volcanic formations dominate the landscape. Classic sand dunes cover only tiny portions. Death Valley, Mojave's lowest point, is a salt flat and gravel, not sand. Number 28. The Grand Canyon is the deepest canyon in America. Hell's Canyon on the Idaho-Oregon border is actually deeper at 7,993 feet versus the Grand Canyon's 6,093 feet. Kings Canyon in California also exceeds Grand Canyon's depth. The Grand Canyon is the most famous, not the deepest. Number 27. The US-Canada border is the world's longest undefended border. The border is heavily monitored with sensors, cameras, and patrols despite lacking a continuous fence. Undefended is technically true, but misleading. Additionally, the Kazakhstan-Russia border is longer at 4,254 miles versus the US-Canada border's 3,987 miles. Number 26. Monument Valley is in Arizona. Monument Valley straddles the Arizona-Utah border within the Navajo Nation. The iconic monuments appear in both states. Most photographs show the Utah side. The valley doesn't belong to either state entirely. It's tribal land. Number 25. The Chesapeake Bay is in Maryland. The Chesapeake Bay extends through both Maryland and Virginia. Virginia has more bay shoreline than Maryland. The bay's southern portion and mouth are entirely in Virginia. Both states manage bay resources, and disputes over oyster harvesting rights continue. Number 24. Silicon Valley is a geographic valley. Silicon Valley is a marketing term for the South Bay area. not an actual valley. The Santa Clara Valley is the geographic feature, but Silicon Valley describes the tech industry cluster. The term appeared in the 1970s and has no precise boundaries. Number 23. The United States has 5 time zones. The US actually has 9 time zones if you count territories. These include Atlantic, Puerto Rico, Eastern, Central,
Mountain,
Pacific, Alaska, Hawaii Aleutian, Samoa, and Chamorro, Guam. Teaching only the continental time zones erases American territories. Number 22. Niagara Falls is the tallest waterfall in America. Niagara Falls is only 167 feet tall. Yosemite Falls drops 2,425 feet. Hundreds of American waterfalls exceed Niagara's height. Niagara's fame comes from its massive water volume, not height. Number 21. The Bible Belt is in the South. The Bible Belt extends into the Midwest, including Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and parts of Texas. The term describes evangelical Protestant culture, not just geography. Some southern cities like Miami aren't culturally part of the Bible Belt, despite location. Number 20. The Great Plains and the prairie are the same thing. Prairies are a specific grassland ecosystem. The Great Plains is a geographic region. Not all of the Great Plains is prairie. The plains include shortgrass prairie, mixed grass prairie, and tall grass prairie ecosystems, plus non-prairie areas. Number 19. The Ring of Fire doesn't affect the United States. The Ring of Fire includes Alaska, Washington, Oregon, California, and Hawaii. The U.S. has significant Ring of Fire volcanic and seismic activity. Mount St. Helens' 1980 eruption killed 57 people. The Cascadia subduction zone threatens massive earthquakes. Number 18. The Transcontinental Railroad connected 2 coasts. The Transcontinental Railroad only ran from Omaha to Sacramento initially. Neither endpoint was on a coast. You needed separate railroads to reach the Atlantic or Pacific. The railroad connected the existing Eastern Rail network to California, not ocean to ocean. Number 17. The Sonoran Desert is only in Arizona. The Sonoran Desert extends into California, Mexico, and covers more Mexican territory than American. Most of the Sonoran Desert is in Mexico. Teaching it as an Arizona desert ignores that it's primarily a Mexican ecosystem. Number 16. The U.S. Corn Belt is where most corn grows. The Corn Belt is a historical term from when Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana dominated production. Today, other states like South Dakota, Kansas, and Texas grow massive amounts. Modern corn production is more widespread than the traditional Corn Belt. Number 15. The Bering Strait froze during the Ice Age, creating a land bridge. The Bering Land Bridge was exposed land, not frozen water. Sea levels dropped 300 feet during glaciation, exposing the continental shelf. Beringia was a 1,000-mile-wide landmass with ecosystems, not a narrow ice bridge. Number 14. Tornado Alley has fixed boundaries. Tornado Alley's location changes depending on the decade and parameters measured. Recent tornado activity has shifted eastward. Climate change is moving Tornado Alley into the southeast. The term describes wherever tornadoes cluster most, which varies over time. Number 13. The Northwest Territory was in the Northwest. The Northwest Territory included Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and part of Minnesota. This region is now called the Midwest. The name made sense from an East Coast perspective in the 1780s. By modern geography, it's decidedly northeastern. Number 12. The California Gold Rush was in California. Gold rushes occurred throughout the West, including Colorado, South Dakota, Montana, and Alaska. Colorado's Pikes Peak Gold Rush in 1859 was massive. The Klondike Gold Rush in Alaska exceeded California's production. The Gold Rush is many gold rushes, not one California event. Number 11. Plymouth Rock is where the Pilgrims landed. There's no historical evidence the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock specifically. The rock tradition started 121 years after the landing. The Pilgrims never mentioned a specific rock in their writings. Plymouth Rock is symbolic, not historical fact. Number 10. The Sun Belt is all warm. The Sun Belt includes areas with harsh winters, like Albuquerque and Oklahoma City. The term describes economic and population growth, not just climate. Las Vegas, technically Sun Belt, gets cold winters. The name implies warm weather, but really describes demographic shifts since the 1960s. Number 9. The geographic center of the US is in Kansas. The geographic center is near Lebanon, Kansas, but this calculation includes Alaska and Hawaii, which skews it. The center of the contiguous 48 states is near Lebanon. Including Alaska pulls the center northward. Which center you calculate depends on which states you include. Number 8. Death Valley is America's hottest place year-round. Death Valley holds the record for highest temperature, but it's not consistently the hottest. Phoenix has higher average annual temperatures. Key West stays warmer year-round. Death Valley's extreme summer heat creates the record, but winters are mild. Number 7. The Great Salt Lake is America's largest lake. The Great Salt Lake is the largest saltwater lake in the Western Hemisphere, but Lake Superior is much larger overall. The Great Salt Lake covers about 1,700 square miles, compared to Superior's 31,700 square miles. The largest lake claim only works if you specify saltwater lake. Number 6. New York City is the capital of New York. Albany is New York's capital, not New York City. This confuses people because the city and state share names. Many assume the largest city must be the capital, but this is true for only 16 states. New York City hasn't been the capital since 1797. Number 5. The Rio Grande flows year-round. The Rio Grande completely dries up in sections during drought. Near El Paso, the river often becomes a dry, sandy bed with no water flow. Agricultural use drains the river before it reaches the Gulf of Mexico in some years. The Grande is misleading when the river disappears. Number 4. Hawaii has 8 islands. Hawaii has 137 islands, not 8. Only 8 are considered main islands, with significant populations. Tiny atolls, rocks, and uninhabited islands comprise the rest. Teaching 8 islands erases most of the Hawaiian archipelago's geography. Number 3. The Hoover Dam is in Nevada. The Hoover Dam sits on the Nevada-Arizona border. The dam's powerhouse is in Nevada, but the dam structure spans both states. Neither state can claim exclusive ownership. The border runs through the middle of the structure. Number 2. The Colorado River reaches the ocean. The Colorado River rarely reaches the Gulf of California anymore. Dams and water diversions drain it completely before Mexico. The river delta, once a vast wetland, is now mostly dry. The Colorado River effectively ends in the desert, never touching the sea. Number 1. The United States spans from sea to shining sea. The U.S. extends far beyond 2 seas. American territory reaches the Arctic Ocean in Alaska, touches 3 oceans in total, and includes Pacific Islands thousands of miles from the mainland. Guam is 6,000 miles from California. American Samoa is in the southern hemisphere. The sea to shining sea narrative ignores territories, Alaska's Arctic coast, and Pacific possessions. American geography is vastly more complex than the patriotic song suggests. The U.S. touches 4 oceans if you count territories, and has land across multiple hemispheres. The simplified sea-to-sea concept erases huge portions of American territory and creates a continental-only mental map that's geographically false. Which geography lie shocked you the most? Drop a comment and subscribe for more facts that completely change how you see America.